Hi, I'm Brian, and today I am going to wrap handlebars with cloth tape, do some twine wrapping, do cork bar ends, and shellac the whole deal in an amber shellac. I have a vise here in my garage and a piece of, I'm rigging up a little piece of newspaper around this to clamp it in, because the vise will, if you don't do this, the vise will cut into it and leave some ugliness behind and scratch up your stem. So I'm going to clamp it into place here, like probably at an angle like something like that. Seems about good. Okay. Next, I'm going to wrap. The first thing I'm going to do is wrap these bars. I'm wrapping them in cloth tape. This is French cloth tape. I got this at a shop down in South Park called Vila. These cost about $4 or $5 a roll. Next, I have my corks. Now, these corks I got from being a wino. These old corks, they're really squishy, made from, they're kind of not ground up and compressed and condensed cork. It's more of an old school looking cork to me. I have some clamp and sand 220 grit. It's regular sandpaper 220 grit. So I'm kind of just cleaning them up a little. No big deal. Just rotate them around, make them nice so they're not all frayed, and not a whole lot of sanding. Like that. That looks good to me. I don't want to overly do it. So just take this and kind of squeeze it and work it in there. I'm going to have a little bit of cork hanging out, just a little bit. I'm going to use hemp twine that's thin, pretty thin grade, stuff that's, would be used for gardening twine, almost, wrapping bundles of sticks and things like that, maybe making jewelry, but you don't want to get something that's waxed. So what you do to start this out, you want to make like a loop. Just make a rough loop here. No big deal. And you want the end of the loop to hang out so you have something to grip onto, and then the loop part hanging in. So essentially what you're doing is, I'm going to start it here. It has a little like sleeve around these bars. There's kind of this sleeve where the actual stem grips onto it. So I'm going to start it right after that. So it's going to go flush. It's going to go flush from there. And it's kind of tricky getting this started out. You kind of sometimes need to double it back. Hopefully I don't mess this up too bad. It's a little squirrely at first. And once you kind of tighten it down, then it's going to go easier and easier. And especially once I start getting down into the fabric will give a little. And the good thing about hemp twine, and the reason you use hemp twine, is hemp rope and hemp twine tends not to have a lot of give at all. It's a very, I guess, static line, if you will. So you could wrap it as tight as you could wrap, and it won't give, it won't stretch. Now it's holding. So I don't even have to hold that loop and kind of worry about it. Oh, hi. The next step is going to be shellacking this beautiful work that we've done. And you have to have steady hands. So we're going to make a martini. We're doing olive martini, very traditional dry martini. We're going to make 2 martinis, so let's do 3 ounces, about 3 ounces of, that smells good. 3 ounces of Bombay Sapphire. And then I'm going to fish out, and I cleaned my hands off during the break. These aren't covered in bike parts. I'm going to do 2 olives in each because I'm feeling very generous tonight. These are martini olives in vermouth. And then we're going to do just a splash, not a whole lot, because these are dry. We're going to do maybe ½ ounce. Cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Mm. All right, so back to shellacking. We have this Purdy brush. Purdy makes expensive brushes. This thing was almost 10 bucks, if not 10 bucks. And this is made for oil-based paints, is what I'm using. Here is our shellac. Zinsser shellac. It's pretty much the bullseye shellac is what you will find if you're looking for shellac. You want to make sure that you mix this shellac, but you don't want to shake it. If you shake shellac, it integrates bubbles. Shellac likes an environment that's virtually dust-free. As dust-free as you could get would be optimal. Before we take a look at the final result, we're going to have a little cocktail. A Rob Roy is essentially a Manhattan. The difference between a Rob Roy and a Manhattan is Scotch over bourbon. Do 1.5 ounces of Black Label. And then you do sweet vermouth, also called Rosso. Maraschino cherry. This right here. This is Underberg. It's a German bitters. There is Angostura bitters, which is a standard for the bars around here. These come wrapped in straw paper. Very interesting, very beautiful packaging. You don't do a lot, just like a couple drops. 2 drops, 3 drops, good. Pour it in the shaker. Pour it over ice in the maraschino cherry. Cheers. Let's look at our handlebars and see how they turned out. I'm pretty happy with this. I think it turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. The cloth tape that was Nintendo Golf green before, it turned out a very rich, I guess you could call this British racing green or forest green. It's very classy. And the cork, you know, took up a little bit of this amber tint, but not a lot. I might want to do the cork again with the amber tint. Stay tuned. Stop laughing, dude. You're fucking up the camera work.
One more time.